I'm your host, Kyle Walden, and welcome to another episode of High Desert Heathenry. I'm here with Outdoor Heathen, Justin, and we're going to do some work on his tiny home here. So I'm actually going to let him guide most of this video. That way he can explain the ins and outs of what we're accomplishing here today. It's mainly some work on the wood stove, but I'll let him go ahead and take over.
Yeah, so I got an old wood stove. It's real small. It's out of manufacturer, so parts for it are really hard, and I'm going to be putting a fresh air supply in for it because I've been having backdraft issues anytime it's really windy, which is dangerous, potentially deadly. It's got a weird rectangular port for it rather than a standard circular port for the fresh air, so I am going to scavenge some of this old chain link gate that was just laying on the property and use the pipe for it, and we're going to use a hammer drill and a bit and poke through the concrete and hopefully fab up a little collar for that out of some sheet metal, so it'll be good to go. Yeah, so basically I'm just going to take this, this will stub through the wall, and then this will just come up and we'll make a little collar right here to go up into the fresh air supply. So now we're just going to pull some measurements. This is more than enough. Measure twice, cut once, right? So we'll pull some measurements and get exactly what we need, and then we'll see if we can get it all fabbed up, take care of. So now we're just going to pull a few measurements, make sure we get it exact for the rectangular cold air intake for it, fresh air intake. Yeah. I don't even know. It's probably got 30 names for it, so.
What was that? You want to be on freedom scale instead of European? You want to measure it in yarn string and
pull out to measure, and it's on the centimeter side of it. Yeah, I prefer to be on freedom, not European. Unit of measurement there. That'd give us enough room to fasten the collar on.
All right,
perfect.
What you doing, girl? Mama, oh jeez, you just bummed out. You just here drilling, doing stuff. Jeez, what a hard life. Look at this little cement plug, or cinder block plug, I guess you call it. Look at that. Isn't that neat? Just pop right on out of the end of the drill bit. Pretty freaking cool. So, Justin was saying earlier that when he had pushed this in, blooper reel. No, that's going in the video. Good. But when he had pushed this in, this collar right here had actually pushed back away from the bit itself. And when that happened, it allowed the bit to tighten down too much. So now we got to go get a tool and loosen that up and take it off of there.
It's going to be a screwdriver and, I don't know, crescent wrench, maybe the vise, depending on how tight it got on there. It's a hammer drill, so I mean, that's putting an insane amount of pressure in there. So
yeah.
This might be a minute.
That's all right. We'll get it off.
Yeah.
So Justin made it all the way through. You can see his headlamp on the other side shining through the hole. Look at that. Ha You can see the little moisture clouds coming on in. Look at that. All right, so we got the pipe through the wall. Justin has manufactured this collar They're going to fit onto the pipe, and it will fit onto the rectangular shaped stove. That way the air intake has like a kind of a redneck gasket, if you will.
Redneck gasket.
All right, so the pipe is coming in through the wall, coming straight up to the little sheet metal fixture that's been fabbed up, and it fits right over the air intake. That way the wood stove is not providing any kind of backdraft and pushing any smoke and carbon into the home. And what's cool is that pipe came from an old repurposed gate and just some old sheet metal that we had, and we were able to use the hammer drill and just get it all done in a timely fashion at that. Good old blowtorch. I got a little wood surrounding thing that we're outside. So.
Do this just for a minute and let some of the hot air start to push up and start that draft upwards so you don't get a bunch of smoke right when you're starting the
Didn't know that. So what he said, because you're looking at his back, he's actually holding the blowtorch at the top of the. Yeah, we're actually holding the blowtorch at the top of the chimney stack here, and it's just pushing some hot air up. That way, like he was saying, that starts to smoke initially when you light it. We don't want any air or any smoke to come back into the tiny home. So, look at that. He's right. It's working. The cold air intake, the fresh air intake should be just drawing air in anyway, which should really minimize any kind of smoke coming back out this way from the oxygen smoke exchange, having it breathe. So now we use the pocket bellows and stoke it up.
I can already tell it's working though because normally when I do this, just a little bit is creeping out. I didn't realize we were actually recording, or else I would have made a nice fire.
This is all good. This is pretty dry and flaky, so it should burn good. Burn it. Burn them all. The roots grow deep, my lord. Tear them all down.
What's that from?
That's from Lord of the Rings. When Saruman has all the orcs like ripping the trees down and throwing them down like a giant pit so they could like just forge crap or whatever,
Yeah, I don't watch children's movies.
Whatever, dude. Lord of the Rings rocks. You see this? You hear this, people? He does not like Lord of the Rings.
I didn't say that. I honestly have not gotten around to watching any of them except for the first one. No, I enjoyed it. I just never ended up getting around to watching the rest of them.
You gotta read the books. Start with The Hobbit and then read the other ones. Like
that requires me being able to know how to read.
Well, yeah, so. we know you're a hillbilly, but I didn't know it was that bad. It's not backtrack.
Oh, here she comes.
Oh yeah, start moving.
This,
yeah,
dude. Eco fans, buy one. They are amazing. They come in a bunch of different sizes. This little fan right here actually circulates and more evenly heats my little house, which is 12 by 24, better than my overhead light fan combo that I put in. Like this one little fan. In fact, using them both, it still seems to not even heat it evenly. But yeah, this one little fan.
Look at that. And it's just picking speed up. Yeah, that's freaking cool, man.
And these things will get so fast when you get a really hot fire going that you can actually you'll be sitting there if it's super quiet and you can actually hear it just cut in the air.
That's
cool. They go so fast. Yeah, metal blade, no guard, so.
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah, be aware of that. But, oh yeah, dude, look. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
also pocket bellows. I love these things. Outdoors, at the house, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I used one in my Big Creek video actually.
Yeah.
And they work good. I use them all the time, and I use them for everything. I have like 2 or 3 of them.
This one, it's got a little bend and a kink almost in it right there.
Is that from this?
And that was for me because it was trying to backdraft so much last winter that I was in here like this, and it started to backdraft, and I thought I pulled it out enough to shut the door real quick to keep a bunch of smoke from coming in here, and I, 1 inch off from having it out, and it kink. I was like, oh man,
right.
I need to buy another one anyways. I was tired of taking that and making sure during the winter time that it went back into my gear because it was my only one, and also that you do have to let them dry out. Which is
the moisture of your breath will make them rust on the inside of it.
Yeah, they're still stainless steel, but like
it's gonna happen.
Get a little bit nasty in there. And I meant to do this last year, and like, because there was a couple times my carbon monoxide detector. Thank you. Detector went off, and I was like, oh, that's not good. So,
well, heck, that works. Awesome. Made it back from Justin's house. Everything went smoothly as planned. We were able to get the wood stove functioning properly. And that's as simple as it is. That's the whole goal of the video, is just to show you kind of a custom fab job we were able to do with parts that we had laying around. That being the chain link fence part, just the tubing and that little L piece. And then the sheet metal that we used to fab up, just that little gasket or collar, whatever you want to call it, that we ended up using to kind of connect the wood stove to the pipe. It was pretty cut and dry, pretty simple, but we hope you found it informative and entertaining at the least. And maybe it'll give you insight onto, or into what you're going to be doing with your wood stove, your tiny home. Maybe you'll have the proper stuff and won't have to fab up some hillbilly nonsense like we did. But it worked out, and we didn't have to spend anything because we had the stuff laying around. Again, I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and have a blessed evening.